One. G'day everyone, it's SDS SuperCoach, providing SuperCoach content for you. I'm here to present the final rookie review for each line, and I've got another special guest doing it with me, and it's SuperCoach with DR. It's an honor to have you on the channel. How you going, brother?
Oh, very good, mate. It's an honor to be on, and a big congratulations for 1K subscribers. Very well deserved, mate. But look, very quickly, for anyone that doesn't know, Steve and I are involved in a keeper draft organized by the blokes from SuperCoach Edge. And I had one request, right? I was dead set not going to accept the invitation on this channel. I put in the chat and I said, listen, boys, listen. I'm not going to ask for much here, but the Pepsi Max King, my man crush. Just leave him for me, maybe seventh, sort of eighth round, even. I'll take him a little bit earlier. And I must have been at work, right? And this was a mad draft. This has gone for 2 weeks, this draft, I reckon. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. But anyway,
Yep.
I get this little message come through, like Steve's taking Pepsi Max. So I put a little laugh emoji, like, oh, yeah, he's a good bloke. He wouldn't do it. He did it. He did it right from under my nose. This man in a keeper league, it's not like I can even get him next year, took the Pepsi Max King. But Steve, I have forgiven you, mate. I have forgiven you. But we need to work out some sort of a trade. And I'm not giving you Clary. Let's work out something. We need to work out something during the year, mate, I think. But now, draft aside, we're up to be here, mate. And we're up to talk about these rookies because we've got some nice ones on our hands, I think, brother.
Mate, when you get the time, we'll do some trade discussions about that because I'm sorry, he was one of the best available on the board. We'll work a trade out, mate.
You got good
It feels
taste.
wrong
Yeah, I can't deny that.
me. It feels wrong me having him, so I'll work out a trade with you, buddy, and I'll make sure you get the Pepsi Max King for the next 12 years. So yeah, nah, I'm more than welcome to open up trades. So yeah, so we're gonna do a SuperCoach rookie review. We're literally 1 day and 2 minutes away from Carlton Richmond and the AFL SuperCoach season starting. So when you guys see this video, it'll be less than a day till we got to lock in our sides, basically. So if you guys need a rookie review, I know the boys from the Centre Bounce did theirs, and we'll give you another one as well. So, all right, let's get into it. So DR is going to do the mids and forward rookies. I'm going to do the defenders and rucks. We'll go from up. We'll start from the top and we'll go down. So I'll start off with the back line. We're just going to be picking the best rookies, by the way. We're not going to be going M11 fish face McGee. We're going to be picking the blokes that you think you should be in high consideration to join your SuperCoach team. All right, so I think I'm just going to base this off ownership. So we're going to go with Josh Gibcus here. The 57% ownership is definitely worth it. I think the poor bugger tomorrow night's going to be dealing with a lot of stress tomorrow, dealing with Mackay and Curnow, because old mate Dylan Grimes is, I think he's might be a bit past it these days. So poor Gibcus, who's only played one game since 2022, is going to deal with Mackay and Curnow, but he is genuinely a really good SuperCoach rookie. He's actually cheaper than he was back when he first got drafted. So heading into 2022, he was about 174K. Now we get him at 150, and at that, in his first season, he got over 300K, and we get an option with him at a cheaper price. He obviously dealt with a really bad hamstring issue last year. Pretty sure he went overseas for treatment, that sort of thing. Hasn't missed a beat in preseason, and I think you should genuinely lock him in. I know he's 150K, but there's no reason why now, under an extra couple of preseasons under his belt, why he shouldn't be in your side. So he's definitely a lock for me and high consideration. He should be for most people. All right. We got Nick
Absolutely.
Caulfield here. Now, he has been named to play his debut game against the D's on Sunday. We don't know whether that's going to be sub or starting. If it's sub, I'll be bloody furious, but I don't think the Dogs will do him dirty like that. I think they're picking him. They're announcing his debut to play a full game. I think he's going to play certainly a lot more lockdown than he did at the Saints, be more your lockdown defender. But with my guess would be he's about 22, 23 years old. So he's obviously had a fair few pre-seasons under the belt where at a really good price, 123K, former top 10 pick, same with Gibcus, by the way. I think Caulfield is genuinely a really good rookie. We had this sort of talk with him over the most of the preseason where if he's named, he's a really good rookie to start. And I still think that hasn't changed. There was job security questions, but he has been named. So I think he's a really good rookie. If you can fit him in, there's actually a lot of good defender rookies this year. Number 3, I'm going with Zach Reed. This ain't in order, by the way, but these are genuine considerations. Zach Reed, the poor bugger spent a couple of years just in the rehab group, but now he gets a full run at it. Once again, another former top 10 pick. He's had a fully healthy preseason, which is obviously a big green tick. But yeah, we get him available at a really good price at 123K. Seems to be a lock for Essendon's best 23 every single week. And I think he's one to not go against. I think he's a really good option as well. Should make a lot of money. Could be a Josh Gibcus sort of type of player as well. So hopefully for the Bombers' sake and his sake, he gets a really good run at it because he deserves it. All right, number 4 now. Probably about this time last month. No one was thinking about this bloke. We've gone with Blake Howes. It's now in 33% of sides, and we highly recommend this pick purely due to that he scored a 91. You can see it on the screen. He scored a 91 in the game against Sydney. He sort of built his way into the game, and I think he's a fantastic option because, I mean, obviously, probably round 1, probably your first score isn't best for your price cycle, but it's a good sign. Now with also Bowie out for Melbourne for 6 to 8 weeks, his job security increases. So yeah, Blake Howes, I think you grab him up now. We know that the scoring's now there. We can see it. He's in his 3rd season, and that's a lot more promising than a bloke in their 1st season. So I like Blake Howes. I'm not going to pick Curtin. Doesn't sound like he's going to play around 1. Ethan Phillips, we're going to go with here. Now, this is, I know DR is very much interested in Ethan Phillips.
I'm
And
waiting to hear this, mate. This is why I came on.
yeah, because I remember the Hawthorn preview. Ethan Phillips wasn't even on our list. So
That's right.
I think with Phillips, I think Phillips does play round 1. I do think he gets picked. I think it's sort of summed it up during the match, the Amy Community Series game against the Dogs in Tassie, where he got named ahead of Sarong, and that actually surprised me because I thought they would have picked Sarong over Phillips, just due to the lack of preparation that Phillips has had at AFL level training. But they've still gone with the bigger body. There's a good chance he plays on probably Peter Wright, which, as a Hawthorn man, scares the living crap out of me. But hopefully, big Ethan Phillips can prove me wrong. He's been under consideration for years to be signed up by an AFL club. He now has gotten the opportunity, unfortunately, due to the James Blake injury, but with the Hawks. But he's going to have a lot of ball going down there, so he might struggle to start with, but it'll build him into a better player, I would like to think. And I think the appeal as well with Phillips is he's not a real lockdown defender. Now, personally, as a Hawk supporter, I would have wished he was a lockdown defender, but he's more your intercepting, takes a mark, that sort of type. So that's a lot more promising Supercoach wise, where he can go for a mark. He knows how to read the play. Maybe not at AFL level yet, but he might build his way into it. But yeah, I do like Phillips at 102K because I do think he'll play. There's a very high chance he stays in the team each week. Now, his job security question, sure. I mean, if he just totally looks out of place, they might just drop him for Sarong. But I think for owners, you're going to have to bank on that. He's 24 years old, by the way. He's a proper man. So if you're buying in the Phillips pick, you're going to have to hope that he stands up at AFL level with limited preparation. But his attributes could make him a really good Supercoach rookie. So I hope that's helped the viewers out there and hope DR there. Help DR there.
Good
So
man, mate. Good man. Yeah, cheap price as well. I think that's another thing with this pick is it is 102K, so bargain basement price. And for lots of people, including myself, mate, I'm trying to scrounge up literally $1,500. It is crazy at the moment. So I think if you need that extra 20K and he is named, certainly an option. Probably prefer the other blokes that we've talked about before him, but I don't think he's the worst option if you need to get an extra 20 odd K, mate.
No, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. Like, Phillips, I think job security is pretty decent, but things could sway. So, I guess I think I'll add one more, and that's Toby Pink, because it looks like he will play for the Roos. It's just more the fact that I think these five players above are better options than Pink. I do think North Melbourne need a bloke like Pink because if you're going to have Sheasel, McKercher, and Fisher in the one back line, there's not a lot of defending happening. So they're going to need a little
Mm,
bit of a bloke like Toby Pink, who they signed. They didn't sign him up just for VFL here. They signed him up because he's a mature age. He was on the list before with the Swans, but they've signed him up to be a solid AFL player that can fill a couple of holes with Griffin Logue obviously still being out, and I think Aiden Core's still a little bit of under a little bit of an injury cloud. But I think the other five options are better. But if you're going too deep down back, then I don't think Pink's the worst. So, and I think for the rest of these, Hall might get picked and replaced for Bowie, but we might wait to hear that. Sean Maker, I'm actually not sure if he gets named. You got Charlie Dean. I think he's getting dropped because it sounds like Jeremy Howe's back. And then after that, Connor O'Sullivan might get named. There's really not much else here. So I think these are six genuinely good rookies in the back line. And I think Pink's a bit stiff actually, because I actually don't think he's going to be a bad rookie. But we just got a lot of good options out there. So I'm going to leave it to
yeah,
these six. I think these six are the blokes you look after when looking for defender rookies. DR, you have the floor for the
beautiful,
midfield.
mate. Into the midfield then. Now, what do you reckon, mate? Should we skip the DPPs to the forward line, or do you
Yeah,
just want to?
I'll turn that off. Um, Wait, DPP only. No. Um,
That's right. I might just skip them for now, mate. So we'll just go through the pure mid options
yeah, just
if
do
you want,
pure
mate.
mid.
Pure mid. All right. So, well, we're going to start off with Riley Sanders here, 184,800. This bloke, mate, I think is the biggest rookie lock for us this season. I spoke with my man, Matty Malta, and this was probably a few months ago now about Sanders, and he said absolute lock. He even went as far to say could be a generational type player. Now, maybe getting a little bit excited as a doggies man there, but high praise. And if you look back to the last practice match with Riley Sanders. So 86 Supercoach points, 80% time on ground, and 0.87 points per minute as well. The bloke racked up 30 touches, can find the pill with ease. I think there's a spot for him there, particularly with Baz Lenker out at the moment. Question marks on whether or not Jack McCrae will even find his way into the 22 at this stage. So I think that we don't need to even talk too much more about Sanders, mate. He's such an obvious pick, as are a few of these blokes that we'll talk about soon. It's just a matter, lock him in your side, have him on field, and throw away the key. Enjoy watching some doggies matches, particularly if you're running with Bonds, English, or a Libra as well. This guy's just the cherry on top for you, I think, if he's in your side and you're watching doggies game. We'll skip Wilson to the forwards. McKerch is the next one now. This bloke has actually gone out of a few sides that I've seen anyway, mate, which is a little bit of a surprise. But I think, as we mentioned with, the play to get someone like a Phillips in your backline, sometimes you just need some extra cash. And McKercher, for some people, is actually that man. Now, we know he's a super talented pick, 4 games in the NAB, or was it the champs, averaged 150 points. Sanders averaged 170, mind you. So that's how good Sanders played during that. But that's some elite scoring there. We know that that position or that role that he'll be playing in North Melbourne is just cash. We saw what it did for your Aaron Halls, your Zeebles, even your Luke McDonald's back in the day. It is fantastic. Some people may be worried that you've already got your Fisher there, your Sheasel eating into points, but I think this guy's just such a super talent, playing in that defensive role, likely getting DPP early on. So there's another easy swing that we've got there as well. Old Cole Sanders, an absolute must-have. Craziness if you don't own him. I'm not that high on McKercher, though. Still a fantastic pick. I think it's a really, really good idea to start him in your side, but I wouldn't have him on Sanders levels myself anyway, mate. But still, terrific pick there. Get him in your side. Jai Clark's another one. Super easy pick, 123,900. Here's your perfect M11, maybe M10 if you're not going to go too much back there. But I think with Clark, mate, Geelong, we know they're an aging midfield. They need to get games into these guys and really pass the eye test for me. It wasn't a super score. It's not like he played out of his skin, but showed what attributes he's got, and that's toughness, put the tackles on, defensive-minded sort of midfielder. So I think Jai Clark's a really easy one, mate. Get him in your team, and he's a little bit older. He's not a first-year rookie either. He's already been in the system, not the AFL system, but in the VFL system for a year now. So I think that's another little bonus to him. Now, Jeremy Sharp is probably the next guy. Now, I'm a little bit concerned with this one, mate, because there were some injury concerns. I think it was about 4 days ago coming out of the West. Now, I'm not exactly sure what that injury was, but I think that lots of us now are probably looking to beef up our midfield bench a little bit more. He's someone that I've had in for most of the preseason, to be quite honest, but that injury scare does put me off a little bit. We know that he's more likely to play a wing role. That's nowhere near as good as the Sanders role, the Clark role, or the McKercher role as well. So that's another thing you need to take into account. Outside type player. Look, if he's selected round 1, I think he's fine. No worries about that. He'll score well enough, hopefully, to get you 150k. But he certainly would be, for me, the M11 option. If you do have him in your side, I'd have all these guys much, much ahead of him. You then go to Windsor, who will skip. Oh, this guy, Matty Roberts. What an absolute lock this fella is, mate. You've got to have Roberts in your side. The big question is, right, and we'll talk about a bloke from Hawthorn in a sec, who do actually play on field? So if you're running with a few of these high-priced rookies, it could be a little bit of a guessing game or match dependent. But Matty Roberts, for me, probably starts on field over someone like McKercher. And that's because he's the new Seagull in a way for me. I was worried that Roberts may not even be getting the 22, or he could be that sub or get subbed off. He'll play more possibly that wing role, even though he's been training predominantly down back, because Jake Lloyd needs to come into this side. Jake Lloyd did come into the side, but unfortunately for the Seagull, and maybe we'll need to give, hopefully we can give the Seagull nickname to this man this year. Wouldn't that be brilliant at the end of the year that we could say this is a new Seagull, because we'd get good SuperCoach points. But Lloyd, you're now getting older. You're on to a wing, son. We're going with the new gen down back. This guy got kick-ins. He's already got that round 1 score in his system as well, which is really decent. So I don't think there is any reason not to start this man. Job security looks much better than what I was first expecting. I know it's only been a week, but the eye test, they've got injuries. Lloyd isn't playing down there. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer, mate. He'll make us some good cash as well. So perfect bench option, or I think you could even have him on the field as well. The next guy will pass on Mana. Dersma is no good. So this is the bloke I want to talk about, mate. Henry Huswaite. Now, I must admit, he sort of hustled his way into my side pretty much after that. Was terrible, wasn't it? It sounded much better in my head. After that first, was it pre? It was shocking, mate. Shocking. Well, it wasn't for me. We did talk about him, didn't we, mate, in the preview when you came on for the Hawkers. But although you gave him good praise, I still thought, well, I'm not sure about if he really makes his way into that side. You've got the Nuke and Nash there, for example. But I really think he's really forced his way in. If you look at points per minute, so big shout out to Scobie, Nathan Scoble as well, Scobie Bryan on Twitter. He put up a really good tweet, so make sure that you are following him. But points per minute, 0.94, 84 SuperCoach points with 73% time on ground. So that 0.94, I really like that, mate. Quickly back to Jai Clark, he was 1.03, only 69% game time. So that points per minute for Clark, really, really good as well. Unfortunately, Jeremy Sharp didn't actually play in the last Pracky match, or that last, or obviously didn't play in round 1 either. So we don't have much data there, but I think with Huswaite, big body, has proven he could score well in the other practice game as well. Great on-field option. Would you have him on your bench? I would play him over McKercher myself. You may think a little bit differently as a Hawker man, but pretty keen on him, mate. Big fan of the Huss. And then probably the only other bloke here that maybe... we'll very quickly, Jacob Ware. Look, I think there are just better selections than him. I don't love his job security with blokes like your Cumming. Oh, actually, Cumming might be out for a little bit longer, but your Perriman types, they've got a few to come back, the Giants, similar types. So don't love his job security. I think there are probably better options, but I don't think he's the worst pick in the world. Harvey Thomas, DPP. Jack Carroll. Now, talk about points per minute. He got the most points per minute out of any rookie in the official practice games and in round one, his points per minute was 1.44 points per minute. 65 SuperCoach points in only 35% time on ground. So he's already got that score in his system, unlike some of the other blokes that we've talked about. It's an interesting one. I don't know about job security going forward, particularly given the fact he started as a sub. We know there's the Doc injury, and lots of people saying now, well, he performed really well. He now probably comes in ahead of some other players. I think maybe short term he could be okay. I'm just not sure what that long term job security is going to look like, mate. So I am very much on the fence with Jack Carroll. But if you think that he's going to be in the side first 4 to 5 weeks, then go for it. The other thing is that given the fact that Carlton have the bye in round 2, he's very much an easy correction trade if he does go really well. So my personal preference is to not start Carroll, get the extra week starter. He has the bye, and if he's still on the side after that, and he actually scores well coming into this week, a pretty easy correction trade. I always do a few rookie correction trades every year. You need to jump on the right ones. So he could be one if one of these other blokes don't work out. But I think long story short here, mate, we have some fantastic on-field options. We can go possibly 4 deep in our midfields if you really want to go that way, if that floats your boat. I'm not comfortable doing that. I need 5 myself. But if you wanted to do that, we've got the options. And we'll also get to the DP options that we didn't really discuss then in our forward lines, which you can obviously swing in here as well. So I think apart from that, mate, we are getting a little bit random. Sin, decent player, I think, but probably not. We've got Mead at 199k. I spoke to JB about him. He's just said, no, don't go there. Clay Hall apparently might be named this week, mate. He was injured. A lot of us had him on our bench. So if he's named round 1, 117k, if you need some extra coin there, you could go there, but we don't have much data on him. And then going to you, McAuliffe's. And I think we'll probably leave it there, mate, unless there's anyone else that you think is relevant yourself, bud.
No, I think we're heading towards 1% territory, so I wouldn't have thought so. Just another thing on Carroll because Carlton are in the business to win this year, and they're like, to be honest, they're a real hot shot of winning the flag here. Maybe overreacting after one game. Sorry to bring that game up.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Take Pepsi and bring that up. Thanks, bud.
Yeah, my apologies. But yeah, where if yeah, shit. If Carroll starts, he could maybe only take one game for Jack Carroll to maybe leave the team and maybe go with a reliable type. How long's Hollands out for? Do you know, DR? Because Elijah Hollands, who's suspended,
Yeah.
I don't think he's been named from what I saw. So I'm just
It's
thinking,
not long term anyway, mate. I know that much.
no, it's
That's not
very
long
short
term.
term.
So yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe just wait out. Yeah, I agree with you. Wait out on Carroll because yeah, I believe Hollins is out, is back maybe even after the bye. I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
So you might hear if Jack Carroll performs poorly, maybe they take him out, put him back as sub, put Hollins in, that sort of thing. So um I believe it's time to move into the rucks and
Let's
yeah,
go.
not much work for me to do here because there's only a few options here. So I guess I'll go into depth a little bit with some of these guys more then. Now, Sam Naismith, we can see the Dorito circle on him, and that means that he has been. So what is he? Selected as an emergency. So yeah, he is an emergency. He is out. He is not playing against the Blues, even with a score of 93 at against the Suns. But that just proves that Richmond know that Nankervis and Naismith can't play together. And I kind of expected that because Naismith, I haven't seen any evidence of him playing forward and as well with Nankervis either. So that's unfortunate. But now, I mean, could you start him still? I think there's a world where you can because sort of Nankervis's injury can sort of hang around a bit. It's that style of injury. I don't
Yeah.
remember how to pronounce it. Plantar fascialis, or I'll make a fool of myself.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So
Tongue twister.
yeah, so Naismith. I think there's a world where you can start him, but it is a bit unfortunate now that he's out. But I guess we've sort of been saved with the teams there, so we don't have to pick him if you don't want to. Finbar Marley, I'm not even going to include him into the team here because I think with 19% ownership, I think you've got a bloke just underneath him who is a better ruck forward option,
100%.
loophole, if you are going to go with that, and that is Cohen Livingston. And I think a lot of people will go down this route now. So got Livingston, 102K. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that West Coast do play a lot of later games in the season, with obviously them being a poorer side and and being a Perth side as well. So they usually leave the Perth games pretty late unless it's prime time. And I think with Livingston, if you're going a loophole, if we don't get like Reedy, for example, who I'll get it onto in a sec from the Dockers, I think Livingston's the go because if Naismith's not playing, Reedy's not playing, we don't have any other names playing here, then you go with a loophole, and that makes it
Yep.
easy for vice captain and captain. Sucks for cash generation though, so I think this is the bloke you could go with. Also, as well, to touch on Cohen Livingston, Matt Flynn, I believe, is out for another 10 weeks with that hamstring injury. If Bailey Williams or because I know heading into the season they were planning on playing Flynn and Livingston. Sorry, no, Flynn and Williams, Bailey Williams.
Yep.
And
Yep.
if they want to still stick with that two ruck combination, we'll hear about teams tomorrow. But they could also have it. Well, there's a slight chance that they could play Livingston because I believe he's the second man in line. So, or maybe
Yep.
Harry Barnett, but we'll just imagine a world where he's the backup. All right, Jordan
Beautiful, Rick.
Sweet. I know after the trade period, I know Jordan Sweet was a popular option, but now with Ivan Soldo looking like that he is the main number one ruck, I don't think we can go Jordan Sweet anymore and pay 158,000.
No chance. No.
And no, and then probably an even worse scenario is Toby Conway. Now I do think he's a really talented ruck, but once again, it seems like Reece Stanley's ahead of him, and don't think we can go there now.
Yep.
So yeah, Conway, I think we can give that a skip now. Kruger's injured again. There is one more bloke I wanted to talk about, and these are the three genuine options people are considering. And this is Liam Reedy. With Sean Darcy out, for about 3 to 4 weeks, with that knee issue, Liam Reedy has come into the frame because Fremantle all off season has been training with Darcy in the ruck, Jackson down forward. Now, with Darcy being out for the first few weeks, there has been talks that Liam Reedy could get picked as the ruck so they can stick with the format that they've been doing the whole of off season. So, which could mean Reedy in the ruck, Jackson still playing forward. There might be a little bit of a mix and match when it comes to maybe Jackson gets a little bit more time forward. But yeah, I think with Cohen Livingston, with Liam Reedy, there is a chance he does get named. So I'm happy to have him in there as well. If I had to choose, if Reedy gets named, I'll probably go with him, but I might still go with Livingston anyway. Let's head into the forwards, DR.
All right, mate. Well, the man up the top, 78% ownership. It's Harley Reid, number one pick. Now, lots of people were a little bit scared off after that practice match, the first one. Didn't seem like the fend off was working. Like some people saying a boy in a man's league. But I think when we watched him again, particularly when he switched or moved into the midfield, played a predominantly midfield role, he looked like the player that we're all hoping for, Harley Reid. Now, I don't think this is a bloke that's going to give you regular hundreds. That's not what I'm aiming for. What this bloke will give you though is absolute job security week upon week, and he'll put a maximum effort in. He's a super talented bloke. He was the clear number one pick in this draft, and that was for a reason. So I'm hoping he can go around the 75, 80 mark. I was still more than happy with that. I think that for this to be a really successful pick, we'll need to see more of that midfield role. I just don't like him in that half-back role, like the old Shees and Nick Dacos role. I just think they're different players. Sheasel and Dacos, I think, have similar attributes, whereas Reid, I think, is a little bit different to them. So I think he's a really easy selection. And if you look at the ownership, 78% of the comp are going there. If he turns out to be even better than what we're expecting, then you're behind the pack, aren't you? So be a pretty brave person not to start him. I think it's a pretty obvious one there. The next bloke, Darcy Wilson. So again, more obvious than Reed for me. 130k. We've got some great. Where are we? I'll just get to my screen here. We've got some great scoring from him as well. And according to Scobie's chart here, where are we? Darcy Wilson, 1.13 points per minute, 107 SuperCoach points, 79% time on ground. So we don't normally associate a wing spot as a role that's great for SuperCoach, but he's pretty much locked that down. He's got all the attributes for that role, probably more of an outside type player, but still did some tougher type things as well. A couple of really nice marks in the last game where I watched him. So I think he's such an easy selection. Main question is, do you get him on your mid bench to get some of that DPP flexibility because you've got so many DPP options up forward? Do you play him on field in your forward line, or do you even have him as that F7 option? Lots of options with him. Whatever you decide to do, though, just get him in your side, I think is a really easy one, mate. Alex Sexton, talk about an easy one. So 73 points in the round zero game. And then what was it, 130 odd points in that practice match. So mature type body, would have definitely been on the scrap heap this year. I think he would have been delisted if Stewie Dew was still the coach because he'd lost faith in Alex Sexton. A couple of really lower score games last year, sub-affected, but he's got a great role. One of our favourite roles for SuperCoach is at attacking half-backer. So he's there. He's 130 odd K, and I think he is an on-field option. I think you can have him on your bench if you want, but I'm more than happy to play him on field. Great role, and will definitely average enough to make us some good coin as well as those on-field points. You got Caleb Windsor. Now, I'm not someone that is huge on Windsor, 58 SuperCoach points, more of an outside type player, as we know. I think job security is really good there. Billings being the sub, for example, I think he's fine. Don't think the SCG was the ideal ground for him. He likes to run down those MCG wings. So I think when he plays home games, he should score a little bit more. But I would probably prefer those more inside type players or even those players that have a bit more of a balance to him. If you're into Caleb Windsor, no worries at all. I think he's a fine selection. I just think that your Sextons, your Wilson types, I'd just rather get those blokes on the side and save a little bit of coin. But if you've got the cash, you've already got these type of rookies, and I think he's fine just to add on. The next bloke, look, he came on and actually played really well, did Sean Manor. So 1.3 points per minute is elite, 42 SuperCoach points in only 27 time on ground. It's just job security, mate. So we've got so many rookies here that for me have elite job security, and you just know that they're going to be there round one, and you'd think that they'd play every game if they're fit. So with someone like a Sean Manor, even though it is a really decent price, perform well, if you're not really sure that he'll be there every week, then I would go with the bloke that you think has that security. So with Manor, if he gets named this week and he has a good second week, maybe a rookie correction for mine. So I'm a little bit worried about starting with him. But again, was in my side for a lot of the preseason, to be honest, buddy. Zane Dursma, now he actually surprised me during that last practice match. When I looked at his ownership last time, it was much more than that. I think it was almost in the 40s, to be honest. But I just don't like the role. I love the talent. Got a great pair of hands as well. Super, super pair of hands. The last score in his practice match could have also been higher if he had have kicked straight as well. I think he got a couple of snags, but could have actually kicked a little bit straighter there. So if you take that into account, you think, well, maybe there's a little bit of meat on the bone there. But for me, it's all about the role. You're almost paying 200K, and we can get other blokes that are going to be playing through the midfield, maybe off the half-back line as well. So I'm a fan of him as a player, but as a SuperCoach selection, I think we've got better options. If it was in other years, maybe you'd go there. But with the quality and the talent that I think we've got on our hands, I just don't think that he's going to be super relevant for us, although he scored really well. Our next bloke, Aaron Cadman, I've actually got him on my bench at the moment. I'd love to get a Windsor there over a Cadman, for example, but I think it's probably a little bit too much when I've also got some high price rookies on my midfield bench. But with Aaron Cadman, he's already got that score in his system, which isn't fantastic. It's a 55, but what we love about him is his fixture in the next 2 weeks. So he's a key forward, did not set the world on fire last year, very low average. That's why I've got him at this price. But another year on, we know what it's like with key forwards, built up his body, looks a lot stronger now. I think he's developing a lot more confidence in his game. I know that my man Swizz is going for the Hogan move. Start with a Hogan, nice draw, then flip him off. If you're confident in someone like a Hogan, then why not get someone like a Cadman on your bench? He's under 130K, is a key forward. And when we talk about job security, Mana compared to Cadman, you just can't compare. Cadman will be there each and every week. And as a bonus, what I'd love to see is him as that slight ruck relief role. I think they might go with Riccardi, but I think in the practice match, Cadman actually played that role. And I think that can allow him, when he's having a quiet game, to actually get him involved in the contest as well. Just get his hands on the football. So if he could get that little bit of a bonus role, I think that would be the cherry on top with him, mate. Marley will skip. Lazaro. Now, Lazaro, I actually prefer to a Caleb Windsor. And the reason for this is that he is a more mature body. I've heard great things from Lee Adams, the assistant coach, or might be the midfield coach. I'm not too sure what his exact role is there at North, but massive fan of Lazaro. He said that he was the standout for him in the preseason, actually named him. So that gives me good confidence. I liked what I saw in the last match. I don't think his score actually reflected how well he actually played, for mine anyway. I think the issue there was that he's not the cleanest user of the football. I think Windsor will be probably a better user. But as I said, mature body. I think his CBA rate will be around the 30 mark, maybe plus. There's a little bit of a bonus. I think that's probably enough for him with that half forward role to actually score well enough to be a decent option for us. What I'd really love is to have him as my F7 and cover those buys. I think he'd be great for that. He's got that DPP status. So if you're staying with a Wilson, he can even switch into that midfield as well. He's the sort of bloke that I'd love to have on the bench and just bring on during that bye week, because pretty much I'll have a player in my forward line out from Sydney, Melbourne, Gold Coast at this stage. So he'll be a really, really handy player there if you decide to go there. I think potentially on field as well. I'll be happy there. Livingston we've talked about.
DR,
Yeah,
sorry,
mate.
There's a less minute to go in the meeting, so unfortunately, I'm just going to have to cut you short. My apologies. It was really good getting you on the channel. I might.
We'll stop there.
No, I'm sorry because I might have to upgrade Zoom here just so I can do longer meetings. But thank you very much, GR, for jumping on the channel. You're a great man. Maybe just text me on some other thoughts on the forwards, and I can put them in the comments down below for the people. So.
Easy, mate. I think we got there. I think we pretty much got there anyway, man. Yeah, we got
No
there.
worries.
I'll just rebel on. So, all good,
you're all
brother.
good.
Thanks
You're all
again for
good,
having me on,
man. Never
legend.
change. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers, guys.